And joining us now to talk about the investigation into the assassination attempt is Shay. Ray is a former SWAT commander in the San Diego Police Department. So you've helped in these type of security arrangements where you've dealt with Secret Service and the San Diego Police. Are you surprised there was not better communication between these two?
I was absolutely shocked that to endanger the former president and to have that lack of communication, because every tactical operation, you have pre-planning where you identify the radio communication channels, you identify who's in charge, the different agencies are able to communicate back and forth. Obviously, this wasn't the situation here. It's beyond horrible, the manner that they were placed in.
And Roy testified today that, quote, they should have been on the roof. Isn't it the responsibility of Secret Service to place snipers?
Well, Secret Service needs snipers from both the local agencies and their own snipers. So you have two different sniper teams, and frequently they're on different radio frequencies, but they can communicate together. They'll identify the hazard locations and can possibly identify those. Ultimately, it is the Secret Service overall responsibility to make sure that snipers are in the right spot, that roofs are covered, and the dignitaries are kept safe.
We're seeing a lot of finger pointing now, but from both sides. The Secret Service saying it was the locals saying it was the Secret Service problem. The main problem seems to be that once the locals saw a man on the roof, it took 30 seconds to get that information to the snipers, and that was not enough time.
I can only imagine how frustrated that officer, that deputy, or whoever that was that saw it, and they know the president, a former president, is speaking, and he cannot put a stop to it. And former President Trump should never have been allowed to go on the stage. When they have that high of a threat, and the indications of what they heard and saw, and then losing a person, just delay. He should not have gone on the stage.
Another shocking thing that came out of the testimony was when Roy said, "We assumed that someone would cover that." The word assume in this situation, just tell us, do you assume anything in this kind of security detail?
The SWAT tactical operations and critical incidents like this, it's the details that are so vitally important. They should have rehearsed these. They should have done role plays. They should have done tabletops. They do a site survey where they go to the site and identify where all the difficulties and challenges are. Then they write a contingency plan that makes it very clear that everyone knows what frequency to go to, how to put a stop, how to protect the dignitary.
The bottom line seems to be, Ray, why didn't any of this happen? Because the locals say they didn't even have a meeting with the Secret Service on the morning of, that they had a meeting, but the Secret Service didn't show up. Do you believe that?
That is very unusual for that to happen, because the Secret Service, they're great people, they're very dedicated, they're there to save lives, and for them to not attend a meeting or to share that information, because the secret in any tactical operation is not as much the weapons, it's the communication, and be able to share information and be able to put a stop to things and protect lives. And that's what all those men and women were doing that day, was trying to protect the life of former President Trump, and unfortunately it ended tragically.
Former head of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, has already resigned, but do you think more heads should roll?
Absolutely. And the reason I say that is the line officers, the sergeants, the people out there that are hands-on are doing their job. It is the leadership's job to set the table and provide them the tools that they can do their job and save lives. So if you're a lieutenant, you're a commander, you're in charge, you need to make sure the communication channels are good so that you can protect lives.
One final note, Ray. Somebody died here. What is that? The feeling of, you think now, of both the local folks and the Secret Service who allowed that to happen?
It will be with them for the rest of their lives. It'll actually cause a moral injury, which is a moral injury to the heart. You won't be able to see them, that they're damaged, but every one of them that were there, they'll never forget it. And that is something they're going to take to the grave. And I just hope that they find solace that they did the best job they could. And unfortunately, there's just sometimes bad cards out there or bad leadership that results in that.
And clearly bad communication that hopefully gets fixed in the future. That's the only important thing here at this point.
Absolutely. I sure hope so.
Thank you, Shay. Always
You're
appreciate
welcome.
your time.
You bet.